The Kremlin has sharply dismissed former U.S. President Donald Trump's recent comments suggesting that Ukraine could reclaim all of its lost territory, describing his remarks as mistaken and heavily influenced by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The response reflects Moscow's determination to control the narrative surrounding the war, while exposing divisions in Western political messaging. Trump made his surprising statement after meeting Zelensky during the United Nations General Assembly in New York. He argued that Russia was financially weakened, that its military was stretched thin, and that Kyiv had a genuine opportunity to achieve full restoration of its borders. The tone marked a shift from Trump's earlier ambivalence about Ukraine, and it immediately drew a reaction from Moscow. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov insisted that Trump's new outlook was shaped more by Zelensky's persuasion than by the realities on the battlefield. He said that Russia's military dynamics speak for themselves, portraying Moscow as continuing to make deliberate advances and holding a strong position. By attributing Trump's change to external influence, the Kremlin attempted to portray him as a political figure easily swayed rather than a leader making an independent strategic assessment. The Kremlin also pushed back against Trump's characterization of Russia as a paper tiger. Peskov countered with a pointed remark that paper bears don't exist, reaffirming Russia's image of strength and resilience. The choice of metaphor underscored the Kremlin's determination to project confidence in the war's trajectory and its broader geopolitical standing. Russian nationalist commentators echoed this rejection, suggesting that Trump's words signaled not U.S. commitment but a desire to step back. Some argued that Washington was rhetorically encouraging Ukraine but leaving the financial and military burden on Europe and Kyiv. In their view, Trump's shift was less about changing the course of the war and more about shifting responsibility away from the United States. At the same time, Moscow moved quickly to position itself diplomatically. Russian officials indicated that Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov would provide Washington with real information about the war, suggesting that the Kremlin still sees room to influence American policy debates despite dismissing Trump's remarks. The exchange highlights several key dynamics. First, Moscow is unwilling to concede any narrative ground that might suggest weakness, even if only rhetorical. Second, by attributing Trump's statements to Zelensky's influence, Russia seeks to undermine U.S. credibility and suggest Western leaders are guided by manipulation rather than reality. Finally, the response signals Moscow's awareness of the war of perception. Battlefield outcomes matter, but so too does the framing of those outcomes in international politics. Critics note, however, that the Kremlin's dismissal glosses over the fact that its advances have been slow and costly, and its economic resilience is being tested by sanctions. While Trump's optimism may not translate into immediate new aid or military commitments, his words alone marked a psychological boost for Kyiv at a moment of attrition. For Ukraine, Trump's shift, though viewed cautiously, offered symbolic reassurance that Western support could endure. For Russia, it posed a challenge to its carefully managed narrative of inevitable progress. And for the broader international community, it underscored how political rhetoric in Washington and Moscow continues to shape perceptions of a conflict that shows no signs of nearing resolution. In the end, the Kremlin's rejection of Trump's position was as much about preserving authority at home as it was about addressing the international stage. By branding Trump as mistaken and Zelensky as manipulative, Moscow sought to reaffirm its storyline of strength and inevitability. Yet the sharpness of the rebuttal also revealed something else. Even rhetorical shifts in Washington can unsettle the Kremlin's confidence in its long war.